Hey everybody, Melissa here. Okay, so thanks for joining me. I am looking at my YouTube and I'm probably going to go back to thumbnails. I had done a few thumbnails and then I got lazy and I'm like, I'm just going to throw videos out with content, which was great at that time because I was trying to get the main message out. I've also had someone say to me that they think I should stick to my original YouTube message, helping mothers raise their babies, keep their babies on very little. So I think I'm going to niche down some more, um, talking about how you don't need abortion. I was listening to somebody last night who was talking about her HIV diagnosis on YouTube. And the way she put the words, I could relate to. She talked about how her and her boyfriend were just out having fun, where she met him, how they met. They used to skateboard together. They used to, he was very active, so he pushed her to be, really active. And, they were surfing and all kinds of things they were doing. And as they started dating, she found out she had HIV. And she talks about the details, like she just felt sick. She had like flu symptoms and she just was on the couch and she was taking hot baths for all the pain in her joints and just everything that was happening to her. So she went to the doctors and they did some blood work and it showed being abnormal, her blood work. And she was like, okay, so they went back to get more done and the doctor, she talks about the details of waiting and how she was like, what could it be? They had no idea. And then all of a sudden she hears she has HIV. And she said in a nanosecond, her life, her whole entire life changed. Just like that. And I think that happens for a lot of women too, or girls who you're going on along in life, you have, been allowed to date at a very young age, and you were told, I still remember that conversation in the background with my parents, arguing and saying, no, she's too young to date. And my father was the one who said she's too young to date at, 14, 15. And my mother was like, she's fine, everybody's dating at, this age. And so all her friends are dating. So I remember my father gave in to that. And so I was dating and I was someone who I couldn't shave, I couldn't wear makeup, I couldn't do what all my girlfriends were doing, right? So here I am at 15 and I was 14, 15, way too young to date. Too young. And so naturally what happens is when you're dating usually, right, unless you have a faith that you are supposed to wait until you're married, you're going to have sex because you're basically taught, that that's okay. And so the condom breaks, and yeah, that was like, I was so mad. I felt tricked, So I said, bring me home, done, over, And then as I'm going along in my life, she talked about the words she heard. This woman heard, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but you have HIV. She said in a split second, her whole life changed. The words I heard were, in a split second, my whole life totally changed in a nanosecond, was, don't tell me you're pregnant, right? And it didn't have to be that way. It could have been, it could have been like a million other ways. It could have been, okay, so, when was your last period? You could be pregnant, let's sit down and talk. Let's sit down, might have been good. I was standing in the kitchen, let's sit down and have a conversation and let's talk about some things. And if you are pregnant, this is what, we are going to talk about this and we're going to come up with a plan, because obviously, being too young to date is one thing, but you don't say, no, you're too young and therefore you have, your baby thrown in the trash, basically. So I could definitely relate to her that her whole life changed within a second, and she got sicker, and she ended up with AIDS, and then she got some medication, and she's fighting it because there's no cure. She's still fighting it, But that's a whole different medical situation, right? And even though pregnancy is different, treating a pregnant woman in a harsh manner and saying, you know what, basically what you're saying to a pregnant girl or a woman is, we're going to mistreat you because you're pregnant. We're going to bring you to a clinic and have your baby killed. Why do women accept this? Why do we treat pregnant women in society like this? Back in the day when a woman was pregnant, she was treated as special. She needed extra attention. She didn't always work because she was pregnant. And now when a woman's pregnant, one of the most vulnerable times in her life, doom, boom, we're going to just take your baby and trash it. That is a very harsh way to deal with a pregnancy. And so we see these Planned Parenthoods I was talking about yesterday, Planned Parenthood all over the place in Washington, who think they are helping girls. They're not helping. They're making it worse. So just like, this woman has to deal with HIV on a regular basis, and, I've had to deal with what happened, later when I matured. So we definitely need to change this. We need to change the stigma we see about abortion. A lot of people think, oh, the woman chose, fully knowing what an abortion was. And no, so many women do not know. So we want to change this, and we want to help women have a higher view of themselves in society, to have a higher view of a pregnant woman. This is not how we treat women. And, I think there's still laws on the book, right? There were laws. If you hit a pregnant woman, when you're driving, that's 2 people. If she dies, that's 2 people they count it as dead, not 1. So we need to, change these laws on abortion and start protecting the unborn again.